Greetings. I had the experience yesterday of looking at, I don't know, would they be influencers on the internet yesterday, their channels. The degree of self-promotion and narcissism is interesting. It's interesting. And I know a fair bit about that phenomenon. And as long as it's not deeply toxic, then, so what? People have their immature egos, and bless their little hearts. I was watching like an hour-long thing, and I play these at double speed for obvious reasons. And this was an analysis of two other people on the internet who were having a feud or an argument, and one was analyzing the other, and the other was getting all emotional about it. And I won't go into the specifics and details of it, but it was a vegan who was also somehow something like a bodybuilder. Guy had pretty big arms. I think there's a fair bit of Photoshop going on, just pictures. It's not barely possible. Plausible to people who don't know what's what. And the actual video element where the guy flashes his ego and his arms, yeah, he's got, he's obviously done some work on his arms. Looking at the rest of him behind his t-shirt, just nothing at all. I mean, you can't always tell, but you can tell just nothing at all. Nothing at all. And then maybe he's getting ready for his shot, his debut. So he works on the whole package. But basically, it's just arms. Now, this is a vegan with a gigantic, out of control, bit of a psychopath in terms of lack of conscience. You don't know for sure, but it's a hallmark. It's a hallmark. Then the other guy is being very rational, but these kind of controversies, I guess they generate whatever attention people want online. My point is, young people who have some kind of thing to do, but no real purpose or direction, no real emotional maturity. Now, this is it can be an arrogant sounding thing on my part. You don't have any direction. Your life doesn't have meaning. And that's not what I mean. I'm saying this specifically because I've been thinking about someone I know, a teenager, who has the idea of gaining some MMA skills. A few times a week he goes to classes, doesn't come to jiu-jitsu all that often. When he does, he wants to do more stand-up kind of approaches, and this is a grappling game. So I was thinking, I know some very deeply, deeply accomplished people. And how does that happen? How do you get accomplishments? And it's hours and hours and hours every week. Oh, wait, what did I just say? Week? No, hours and hours every day. In other words, 7 times more than hours every week. 2 and 3 and 4 hours will get you to a level that's competent. I don't mean only the same thing, but that whole everything, specific actions geared toward achieving the goal. And what actually happens with young people who do once in a while, but they've got it's not a goal, it's not ambition, it's a fantasy that they want to do this thing, MMA. When I was a teacher years ago, I'd have classes of 8th graders, 13 years old, and then 15-year-olds. It just fell out this way. Every year, virtually all of the boys would want to they'd say they were going to be professional football players. And I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but there wasn't anybody that was stellar in terms of performance, which is a professional level, even when you're young. And they liked playing the game, and they had the fantasy that they could make a living at it. Nothing wrong with fantasies. I would do the analytics of it. We'd do the math. How many professional football teams are there? How many players are there on each team? Do the math, and you find out however many few hundreds of actual jobs, positions, and then how many young men are there who want to play, tens of millions. How many jobs become available each year? Because it's not a turnover of 100% every year. It's, 10%, 20%, I don't know. But that's how many jobs there are available. Then it's how likely is it that you'd get a job doing exactly that? The answer is vanishingly small. The elite of the elite of the elite is what these professional athletes are. And it is the same with MMA on a professional level or on an amateur level. Fighting untrained people can be dangerous because they're crazy. They come racing at you, they just throw their body against you, and if you're not prepared for that. Rules, sports have rules. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, they have rules. And brawling doesn't have rules. That's an eye-opener. And people who brawl, even if they know the rules, they don't want to follow them because they're brawlers. So with the young person fantasy, that's fine. But at least have a pretense of working toward it. And it's not an hour every day or every few days. It is serious practice times. The people that I know, what they can do and how many hours a day they spend practicing. Deeply dedicated. You don't have to not attain your dreams. You don't have to come up with a whole other thing, but you can gauge the likelihood of your achieving that particular profession by the amount of time not spent watching it, but practicing it. Drill, 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 drill. I tell parents of the film Napoleon Dynamite, and it's kind of my sense of humor. Dry, satirical, and it's about these teenagers who wander around. One of them talks about getting skills, which is exactly the point. Somebody told him that he needed skills, so he's bragging about his drawing skills and his ninja skills and whatever skills that he has, his bow skills. Funny to me. Not laugh out loud funny, but appropriate. That's the situation. What do you like? Do it. Do it a lot. Do it too much. And I'm talking about productive things. If you want to lose weight, the film Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. It's online. And it's about a guy who does the juice challenge. I don't have a problem with that. It's going to be, generally speaking, calorie reduction, which is not the answer, but it's part of the answer. And it's about getting really good nutrition. Partial nutrition, but very good, just superb plant nutrition into your bloodstream. Very, very good. Two good things. Some calorie restriction going on, some superior nutrition going on. The fact that there's no fiber, not at all a good thing, a bad thing. There's a way around that. I have not talked about it, but it's a way of getting that fiber into your system, which is absolutely superior. Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, not doing that. My point is, the Australian fellow is driving through, doing a road trip across America. He encounters just an obese truck driver. 6 months later, however long it is, a few months later, the truck driver gives this fella a call. I need help. Fella gets back on the plane, comes back to America, works with the truck driver. Really, really inspiring story. And the image something that really stuck in my brain is the producers, the director. They filmed this truck driver. He's still pretty fat. He has lost a lot of weight, but he's still pretty fat. But he is running along. He's doing his exercise, and he is running. And you see this fat guy just hauling, and he's just running. And wow, that guy can really run. And then you take 2 seconds of thought, and you say, no, he's not. He doesn't. He's doing it for the camera. It takes much more than a few months to attain that level of actual sustained running, where you're actually running, especially when you've still got all that weight. But as a point of inspiration, wow, he got his nutrition in line. He is exercising in all these effective ways. He's lost all this weight. Look at that guy go. And it's inspiring, but it's not true. Do you want to be inspired by things that are not true? What spirit is it that's inspiring you, breathing into you? If that's the case, it's not the spirit of truth. So if they had shown that guy just slogging around the track or along, a scenic route, that would have been realistic. And it's not just the 8 seconds that they got on film. It's not that. It's not just hours every day. It's hours every day for months and months and months. And then you become what you appear to be. The sad story is, and I don't want to spoil the ending, but I'm going to, so spoiler alert, there's a second film, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead 2, not quite as dead. And they follow up with this fella. He's backslidden. And it's a sad story, but it's really common, because this is what I mean when I say lifestyle. It's not just, I want to get lean. I want to be thin. I want to have big arms. I want, whatever the goal is, if you don't stick with it, why did you even do it? You got a memory. You got a series of memories. If you didn't learn your character, your psychology from it, then it's an experience that you paid for, but it's also that much of your life that is irrecoverable. You come back. I use the high school football player as an example. 20 years ago, yeah, I used to be this phenomenon. I remember that touchdown I scored, and that guy's pretty boring. Now I talk about stuff that I've done in the past. I had a 5-minute mile in my 40s, but it's not to say how awesome I was. I do it to show what's possible. If I can do it, then you can. Maybe not that. If I can do it, it's not like anybody can do it, but you can do what you can do to make your goal the way I did. I decided. I didn't know, as I have said, my son, this is more than 20 years ago, my son was in Iraq in combat, very stressful for a dad. I dealt with my stress by just running, and then I started to train because that's how I am, and then I set some goals. I didn't set an arbitrary goal when I first started. I want to go 5 mile. I didn't do that. I just kept on taking time off what I was doing. And I said, oh, well, 6 minutes, pretty good. Maybe I can do better. So I went and did the research and looked at numbers and what was possible. And so I chose that goal and I honed in on it and I got there. It's not, look at what I can do. It's the hone in on a goal, a realistic goal. And then the grown-up part of it is, if it turns out that this was not a sensible goal, okay, then refine your goal. I never did have a goal with jiu-jitsu. I'm going to win a gold medal. I never had that goal. I competed because it's just like a rite of passage. A little late in life, but that kind of competition, it's even if you don't want to do it, and I did not want to do it. I did a number of competitions, and it's just not my way. It's just not my thing. But regardless, you do it. You face it. It's a challenge. It's a meaningful challenge. That's what I'm talking about. The goal was to do it. I don't know. It's a competition. That other guy, he can be more successful than I am at this. Faster, stronger, more skilled, more aggressive, whatever it is. He may have the attribute that is required to get the job done that I don't have quite as much as. You don't view it as luck. So with the people that I was seeing online, what's the actual accomplishment? The actual accomplishment is, look at me. It's like politicians. They talk themselves into the job. Whatever slimy negotiation, compromises, if there even are any compromises, if there's anything to compromise. Because sometimes I'll just give you anything you want, give me what I want. That's the nature of politics. In its less vulgar form, it's negotiation. And that's the deal. So if there are points that you can't negotiate on, then okay, there's no deal, and there's no deal. The government shuts down and stays shut down. It would be the difference between statesman and politician. And I'm saying this because almost everything is a negotiation. Almost everybody has the line they've drawn in the sand. You may not see it. It may not be a very long line, but it's there. Don't go beyond that. This is normal boundaries. And it's not that you don't let other people violate your boundaries, or that you don't, as a matter of principle, you don't violate their boundaries. It's sometimes you have to violate your own boundaries because they're in the wrong place. And then it's not a violation, it's a readjustment. One of the major crimes of the ancient world was the moving of boundary stones. It wasn't a sophisticated surveying process. It's at such and such a rock, that's where my territory, and this is where yours begins. You move those things. Well, it's one of the most egregious kind of thefts there is. Some boundaries you don't negotiate. And then it's a matter of integrity to find out where and what. So when you're very young in terms of maturity, it's not an age thing. There's this thing that, I've heard the term insults, involuntarily celibate. Well, why is that? You don't want to be celibate. You've got a sexual drive and some kind of desire. What, women just don't desire you? Or your social skills are so bad and so poor? And apparently insults are just bitter and aggressively angry, and I don't know what it is. That's a very strange social phenomenon. I don't know that it's any different than it has been. It just has a name now. Usually you didn't hear about these people. Now they can be on the internet and make themselves apparent. There are behavior ways of improving that condition, of attaining the social skills, of getting out of, it's not a comfort zone. It's a lack of ability. You're not comfortable there. You're vegetating there. And you look back in 5 and 10 and 15 years, you look back and you see that it's just wasted. Very dark, just a wasted life. So here's my point. Instead of being bitter, which is seductive, pick one thing. Pick some physical activity and do it more than a little bit. Get out. Get an accomplishment. Get a skill. Bow skills, ninja skills, running skills, very easy. Burpee skills, I've talked about that. You do 3 minutes. If you don't know how to do it, I have a post about that, burpee challenge. But you do 3 minutes. Go online, look at what a burpee is, do 3 minutes. You do that for a week, every day. How many can you do? And you'll do a few more, maybe every day you do it. And then do 4 minutes, and then do 5 minutes. And pretty soon, you're pretty good. You're pretty good. In fact, you're good enough to put yourself online as an inspiration. This is what I want people to do. I do it with older folks. Be an inspiration. This is where you were. You worked hard. This is where you are now. That's why I do this. It's not about me. It's about how to do things, how to get lean, how to attain certain skills, physical skills, specifically fitness, how to to make rational your life. I'll tell the story quickly. I had a foster son. This is probably coming out of 25 years ago now. 9 years old, could not read, could not write. You could copy, couldn't really write, couldn't say what 2 plus 3 was without using his fingers. He'd been in a group home since he was 4. So more than half his life, he'd been in an institution. Came to me, and over the summer, I brought him up over to 5th grade, to grade level. In fact, it was 5.1 at the beginning of 5th grade. From kindergarten math to 5 over the summer. And sometimes the lesson was 20 minutes, and sometimes it was 2 hours. It was 5 times a week. We went through a lesson a day. I had a superb math book, Saxon Math. Brilliant. From having nothing, from having fantasy, from being a Ninja Turtle and a Pokemon character, he made himself the smart kid at math. And the same thing with writing. I completely ignored block writing, manuscript writing, just the ABC like you see it written, like in a book. And I taught him cursive. And he learned cursive handwriting, the flowing, in a couple of weeks. And he could do that. And I made it very simple. I broke it down. I kind of invented a system to do that. You change lives. You change lives. You save lives when you get some skills. Now you have real worth. The joke of it is, I taught in East LA, looking like me. I taught in East LA. And the kids and the teenagers, East LA, I was El Vato Loco sometimes. I don't want nicknames, but hey, El Vato Loco. And the crazy guy. And this is my sense of humor, the directness with which I say things. Now, El Vato Loco. This is the crazy kid in the gang, the guy who will do anything. He's got no skills. He has no ability. He's not good looking. He's not smart. He's not strong. He's not crafty. It's just that he'll do anything. So you need some crazy, psycho, evil act to be committed. This is the guy who will do it. That's his worth. That's what he brings, his contribution to that evil, dysfunctional society of the gang. That's his contribution. A life serial. Oh, Mikey, he won't eat it. He hates everything. And he likes it. El Vato Loco is the guy who will do anything. How about having a real skill? How about having something that's admirable, not for its wickedness, but for its worth? Well, I was going to say that's you. I hope it is. I hope it is you. That's why I do these videos. I tend to direct it toward younger people, but what I really mean is toward people who have not accomplished their goals yet. You pick your goal, you accomplish it. Very simple goals. Health and fitness via nutrition and exercise. Really behavioral in terms of psychology. Outcome matters. God cares about your intention, your heart, your soul. The world doesn't have any business worrying about your soul. It's what you do. There's something called phenomenology, what's observable in the universe. That's what matters. And then people who love you care about what's going on inside. And civil people and And people who have some compassion care about you. But you can't expect that. I've made my joke about how dark and bad the world is, and it's not that it's bad. It's that it follows the laws of physics. And the laws of physics are that you fall, you don't fly, and you starve. You don't have loaves and fishes multiplied for you, except under non-physical circumstances. And you can't count on that. What you can count on is your effort. If you are not the foundation of your worldview, if you don't know what your character is, then you find out what it is. That's the beauty of what I'm talking about, because the truck driver who was looking like Hercules running there, just that full out, but it's not real. How do you make it real? Month after month after month. And that's how things become habits. So you pick a small thing, you pick one thing, you do a burpee challenge, or you take one thing that's toxic in your diet and you eliminate it. Do one physical thing, do one nutritional thing, do one behavioral thing. Well, I've covered a lot. The point is, it's not about fantasy. It's not about self-delusion. It's about picking something that's actually attainable, one small thing, and applying yourself to it. And I'll leave it at that. Have a great day.